I just wanted to first start with reminding everyone about our history of confronting presidential candidates in the past. We held a rally in San Francisco, California in 2019 at the California Democratic State Primary, where all the presidential candidates came to ask the state party for their endorsement. We marched through the California State Democratic Convention to demand repeal of FOSTA. Doms against Donald Trump did a FOSTA die-in on the steps of the entrance. So all the Democratic presidential primary candidates saw us. All the statewide legislators and their legislative aides saw us. This visibility played an important role in helping pass Senate Bill 233, which created immunity for everyone in California from prostitution arrests when we're victims or witnesses reporting serious crimes. This law also removed condoms as evidence from prostitution cases. When we fight, we win. I'm going to review Kamala Harris's record on her time as the San Francisco district attorney, because it will give us some clues about what to expect from her if elected president and what we as a community need to do to further our economic and social rights. I did a public records request of Kamala when she was the district attorney in 2006 because I wanted, as an activist, to find out what the government is doing around prostitution arrests, and how it is that we could hold them accountable and to find places where we could demand change. Kamala didn't provide the documents I had a right to and didn't respond to the public records request in a timely manner. Here's a copy of that violation order issued against her by the San Francisco Sunshine Task Force. When we don't have transparent government, we don't have good government, America. Also, as district attorney, Kamala's crusade against Prop K, a San Francisco citywide ballot measure that would have removed criminal penalties for prostitution. She is the source of the false and misleading statement that is used widely to this day by anti-prostitutionists who repeat this dishonest claim that we have to be, subject as consensual adults, youth and actual sex trafficking victims to the violence of prostitution arrests as a means to investigate forced labor in the sex industry, when clearly they do not need to arrest us to investigate that. She, like others who oppose our rights, are literally holding us hostages, and that is completely unacceptable. Kamala's crusade against Backpage is another place where she used the power of her elected position as California State Attorney General that brought trumped-up charges against the Backpage owners twice, and those charges were dismissed twice. The second time when she brought those charges was right before she left for her from her state attorney general position to take the U.S. Senate seat. So once she was seated as the U.S. Senator, she used her power to continue her crusade against them by yelling at them in a Senate hearing where they couldn't defend themselves because they had to invoke their Fifth Amendment right to remain silent because of the charges she had filed against them right before she left as the state attorney general. So she demonstrates that she's willing to use her power in conjunction with unjust laws to strip citizens of our right to defend ourselves against these same unjust laws to further her career. And nobody in that case was convicted of sex trafficking, let alone sex trafficking of a minor. The DC 2020 platform had a statement, or the Democratic National Convention 2020 platform had a statement that said, "We recognize that sex workers who are disproportionately women of color and transgender women face especially high rates of sexual assault and violence, and we work with states and localities to protect the lives of sex workers." This was removed from the 2024 platform, and shame on the Democrats. Also at the Democratic National Convention was a punchdown from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas, who was allowed to say that Donald Trump had 34 felonies, 2 impeachments, and 1 porn star, as if Trump had possession of the porn star, which is pejorative. That Congresswoman should have thanked Stormy Daniels publicly for her sacrifice, but instead used her and our industry as a political trope. The Congresswoman would never have had those 34 felonies to talk about without Stormy. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett didn't even say her name, and she demonstrated that woman-on-woman violence in the public spheres is okay when it is not. And she owes Stormy Daniels and our community an apology, a public apology. What we as a community should be most concerned about is Kamala's statement regarding decriminalization of prostitution in the 2019 Roots interview. Her response again shows the usual political doublespeak, conflating our male clients with men who force people into the sex trade. Let's be clear here. The sex trade is not supporting this type of phony model that would leave our clients criminalized. The research shows that leaving our clients' ability to agree to our solicitation for sex, criminalized leads to more surveillance and violence against us, the erotic service providers. Leaving our clients criminalized violates our rights to negotiate for our own labor and our own safe work conditions. Allowing people who don't work in our industry to dictate the terms of our work conditions that they themselves won't be working under is called an unfair business practice. So let's be aware of this rhetoric and continue to be united in complete decriminalization for both the erotic service providers and our clients. I'm going to end by saying that we as a community should make the new administration aware of how many young women of color have been actual victims of sex trafficking who are now convicted of federal sex trafficking charges and have to register as sex offenders for the rest of their lives. These cases should be brought before the next president to get them a full pardon, meaning that they should be released from all punishments and disabilities, erase all the criminal records, and have no sentence to serve and all rights restored. This group of folks were wrongly identified by cops and overzealous prosecutors who furthered their careers on this vulnerable population's backs. I know that many in our community are not going to be voting for Donald Trump because of the porn ban named in Project 2025 and for other reasons. However, in reviewing Harris's record, no matter who will be leading the next administration, we are going to have to be united and fight, because when we fight, we win.